Hello, and today we'll continue with Pervader. The agent's house seemed undisturbed as we last left it a couple of days ago. Where else would he go but here? I dreaded to step foot inside the house again or even get close to it, but I had to make sure. A quick peek through the window told me the place was indeed empty and the latches were in place as Ellen had set them. No one's been inside. Yeah, I'm almost certain he would have come by this place. Better not loiter around here in the open, else I might attract unwanted attention. I walked past the house beyond its small backyard garden and to the wild courts beyond. Around the familiar sound of clicking iron against wood which satisfied my intuition. There I found him, standing poised in front of the tree, ragging at it like an enemy. His movements seemed strange, faster, but also more stilted. Every other hit, he filled the air with struggling grunts and gasps. He had noticed me with a fleeting glance, though it would not attract him from his work. Though it would not distract him from his work. I stood by and watched him silently. The assault continued, sending splinters flying off on either side of the poor tree. Blow after blow, the tree shook and rustled. It rustled its leaves, setting one or two each time. Its bark had been broken off in large gasping wounds, revealing the lighter core inside. If he keeps this up, he might fail the darn thing. Are you ready? With a quick motion of his left hand, he whipped a bit of sweat from his temple. Haven't taken a hit yet. Want to take a break? Give me a minute. He angled his sword as if it were an axe and started chopping at it. I struggled to figure out how this is supposed to help you improve your fighting skills. It's not. Jimsaw swung again, with all his might, as if he wanted to cleave it in two, though it only glanced against the bark and threw him off balance. I just wanted to hit something. His slashes grew more and more wild until his sword started getting lodged into the wood, which was about as thick as a forearm's length. He had carved his way through a fourth of the tree by the time his strength gave out. The sword had stuck itself into the core again, and he struggled to get it out. Exhausted, he gave up, leaving the sword where it was and turning around to lean against a different tree. He flashed me a strange smirk. Guess I lost. Although he was being playful, I knew there was a great deal of suffering behind his mood. How bad is it? Bad enough to hate waking up. He had gotten better at managing the pain, though it never left him. Every once in a while, he would flash an involuntary grimace as if he had been stung by a needle. It doesn't hurt that bad, but it never goes away. You think it starts at some point, but it's always there, always ready to hit right on time. It's almost like music. Like listening to the most annoying song in the world forever and ever, even when you go to sleep at night. Marston said it would get better eventually. Well then, future Jimsaw is a very lucky guy. His head suddenly turned, flinching from the pain. Another awful spasm. He took the moment to reflect. Sorry, I know I'm not in the best of moods right now. You have very good reasons for it. You don't have to worry about me. I can handle it. This woody slaughter. He waved his hand towards the splintered tree. It probably won't happen again. I can think of worse ways to relieve tension. He glanced back at the sword in the tree. Yeah, but it really dulls the blade, going to have to spend a while sharpening it again. Then again, maybe it doesn't matter, since I'm not much good as a fighter anymore. What do you mean? Can't concentrate or coordinate well. Every time I try to do something, I get jolted by another stab. It throws me off. Nobody can fight like this. I should probably give you the sword from now on. There was grief in his voice, but a lot of acceptance too. I wasn't sure what to say. You should have told Ellen where you were going. I wasn't sure where I would end up, though I probably wouldn't have told him either way, if I'm being honest. Do you want to use that blade or something? No, of course not. Well, maybe, but no, the sword is comfortable. It makes me feel safe. Truthfully, I'm afraid to ever lift it against anyone else again. Whenever I think about it, there's claws raking at my brain. He rubbed at his forehead, aching for relief. Inside his head, the broken mane had been remedied by Marston. The worst of the pain was gone, yet I wasn't sure if it meant he could kill again without consequence. Even if he were unable to renew his disquieting torment, the trauma had already taken its toll. It was as Gimmelborg had said, killing became an unbearable act. I don't like it when you go off on your own. I want to be here for you whenever it gets this bad. Wake me up next time. So you want to be my nanny? Seeing his genuine smile, marked by a sudden grimace of pain, had become somewhat charming in its own way. Call me what you want. Fine then, as long as you start wearing white shirts. I cringed, though amused at his wild comment. That's what Nana always wore. If you want to play the part, you have to look it. Oh, you tempt me. Seeing him revel in his more playful side, in spite of everything, made me feel happy. When we first met, I thought he could have stayed cold forever, always primed to act according to his Sylvan Watts vows and treat me like an enemy. Yet now, against all odds, with so much to lose, he seemed oddly joyful. And then he gave me a deep sigh. I'm sorry I didn't say anything. I guess I felt a little guilty, you know? For what? Getting myself in trouble, making you have to look after me. I admit, I even regret upsetting Alan. I've always tried to be reliable, always ready, willing and able to keep myself from becoming a burden to other people. But now I'm broken, feeble. The thing that hurts the most isn't the pain, it's knowing that I've become a liability at the worst time possible. Even the greatest knights that get hit every once in a while, eventually they bounce back and keep on fighting. Now they get crippled. Is that what you are? He fell silent for a moment. I suppose not. There's not time to surrender. Rely on others to help you through the dark times. It's my job to help you recover. All I ask is that you accept my help. To refuse it, it would be yielding to fear, and shirking your own duty to yourself. It doesn't matter how or when or where you fall down. You have to let others pick you up so that you can keep fighting, so that we can get to the end of this nightmare. I want you to be better because people care about you and they need you. Your father would be crushed if anything happened to you. Alan also made a promise to save your life. And I too want you to get better because, well, all of a sudden it became difficult to utter words. I realized I had been speaking from the heart in a way that led to places filled with uncertainty. I had also taken a few too many steps closer to him. Feeling anxiety gripped me. I shook my head out of that stupor as he looked back at me with strange intensity. I just want you to get better. A deeper want stirred within me, but I knew it was not appropriate to say it. I wouldn't accept my feelings as they were, and I wouldn't add to his anxieties by having him hear it. I'm his only friend out here. I cannot betray that trust. Put the thought away, Ramus. Thank you. As I stepped away to give him space, our silence gave way to the chirping birds in the morning to fill the void. Weary from embarrassment, I thought it would be best to head back. Alan's probably waiting for us. Yeah, let's go. I barely took a couple of steps on our way back before a sudden whistle cut through the thicket and came from somewhere off to the side as I turned to face it. Jimso moved ahead. Oliver? Hey, kiddo. I recognized him. He was one of the men working for Herrenbeck and Miriam, among those who had surrounded us upon entry. A hardy-looking fellow, evenly stern and gracious, he was armored more thickly than the average wandering sellsword, though still light enough for travel. What are you doing here? I was sent forward. It's good that I found you. He nodded up towards the town, urging us to move. Let's go to your hidey hole. We can talk more there. Oliver, wait. Please, you must tell me. I've been away too long. Mother, father, has anything happened? The marshal has fled. We don't know where he is. Zunso wore a sour expression, frustrated and angry. He grunted in pain as another spasm struck him, recoiling away from the large dog. Damn it. I have more to tell you, but let's find the bear first. You're not here to take us in, are you? Kiddo, I wouldn't be asking in that scenario. If he were here to make an arrest, I don't think either of us would put up much of a fight. I threw a questioning glance to Jimstar, though he was too lost in his own unease to answer me. Come on, chop chop. He clapped his hands as he said it. Time's a wasting, and you don't have a lot of time. Jimstar hurried ahead, heeding the dog's orders. How did you find us? I'm surprised someone else hasn't already. You're wanted men, walking about town as if not. Lucky for you, your bounty notices haven't been posted on the town boards yet, though I know they have arrived already. As the pair grew busy on our way into town, I decided to pipe down. If this man's here in Tenderhall, that means the watch is paying closer attention. Alan was waiting inside when we entered, lounging in a chair in the back room. He rose to his feet when he saw the watchman. You. It's okay, Alan. He's not here to take us in. At the behest of Oliver, all of us huddled close so as to make it difficult for any would-be eavesdropper to listen in. I should ask first before we begin, what's the situation on your curse and Sergio? We're not closer to a solution than when we started. Jimstar spoke much more plainly than before. The painful silver stared away with his usual discretion, though it also made him visibly anxious. Are you feeling all right? I'm fine. You are not. What happened? The dog flipped his reproachful gaze onto Alan. What did you do to him? The kid's all jittery. He's in pain. From the curse. From disquietude. Oliver's eyes went wide as he heard mouth agape. Mercy, I wouldn't have thought. He would not die from it, but the lad is in pain. How did this happen? I put my sword through one of Amble's agents. He tried to kill us. Oliver went on to ask us about everything that happened since Miriam. He committed every little detail to memory. Once we exhausted all of our information, he scratched at his ear and stopped to think for a while. And you still want to go after Umbro? What else can we do? They got the daggers, and as far as we know, nobody else is trying to get rid of the curse. There are also one member sword with his blood on your hands. Do you think they'll soon forget this? No reason to tell them, and Umbro won't find any of his remains. I had not been brave enough to ask Alan how he got rid of the body, merely thinking about it made me civil. The day after I felt saying that I had let him handle it all on his own. They will make assumptions. True, they'll assume the watch was responsible. Yes, and they'd be right, because the kid did it. How does that help him? The dog recoiled in frustration inside. I don't like it. You're in way over your heads. Oliver, you didn't come all this way just to catch up. Tell us why you're here. Did you know we were in Tenderhall? Yes, partly why I got to you first is to warn you. The watch has been tipped off about your location. We were told through a reliable source you would be arriving in Tenderhall. Of course, we always assumed you were going there. Yes, Heaven made sure we were aware of that suggestion. A suggestion you didn't take, regardless. Someone else learned of where you were going. Anyone could have said anything. Doesn't matter anymore. Hopefully, you won't tell anyone else your next destination. As your father had fled, Harold is now anti-Marshall. Professor Watt's orders are to apprehend you on sight, but he's still looking out for you. What's more, we've also learned Umbro is planning some kind of move in town. A unit of Silver and Watts peacekeepers is going to wipe the mall. They have orders to investigate you and Umbro. Peacekeepers here? I thought Tenderhut was outside the Inquisition's reach. We've had success with the local administration secure a partnership off the books for now. Hopefully these next few days go smoothly. So that leaves you. This place isn't safe anymore. If the Watts finds you tomorrow, Heron won't be able to protect you. You want us to leave? If you don't need to be here, then you should leave. I'm sure you can chance upon Umbro in another town where the Watts isn't looking. No, I've fled enough for chances and wedding. I agree. We've wasted too much time already. Losing this opportunity as well is a good idea. Alright, I'm not here to tell you what to do, only advise. Them coming in tomorrow are merely soldiers, some still wet behind the ears, not the sharpest investigators, not trained by Helen, but they'll still find you given enough time. They have orders to stay in town until they are recalled. If Umbro shows up, they're likely to stop searching for you and focus on them, as long as you haven't shown yourselves. That's all. Keep your heads down and stay out of reach. The Don nodded and quickly turned, scurrying away. Wait, you're leaving already? I have other duties to attend to. There's nothing else I can do to help you. Will you be staying in town? He stopped to think for a moment, unsure whether to answer. Yes. Then you'll have to help us. Oliver sighed and shook his head. I might be able to throw the peacekeepers off your scent as long as you keep your heads low. But if they spot you and give chase, the situation will have escaped our control. Do you understand? Can you meet us at night? No, it is too risky. Oliver, Father didn't leave a note saying where he was going, not even a hidden message or something, anything? Sorry, kiddo. No choices. By the time Harold got back to Chariot, he had already left. I imagine he didn't want to involve anyone else. So you really don't know? I do. Then tell me. Start playing these games. There's no game, Jim. It's obvious to everyone who knows the situation. He's out there trying to find you. Probably headed north, the same way you were going, though by now he could be anywhere, even Aeon's Road or High Hope. The two of them stared deeply at each other. Both were straight-faced and serious, yet anyone could sense the heavy concern that floated between their eyes. The dog patted Jim Saw on the shoulder. I'm sorry, kiddo. I don't want to lie to you and say everything's going to be all right. But Sorry, kiddo. No traces. By the time Heron got back to Chariot, he had already left. I imagine he didn't want to involve anyone else. So you really don't know? I do. Then tell me. Stop playing these games. There's no game, Jim Saw. It's obvious to everyone who knows the situation. He's out there trying to find you. Probably headed north, the same way you were going, though by now he could be anywhere, even Aeon's Road or High Hope. The two of them stared deeply at each other. Both were straight-faced and serious, yet anyone could sense the heavy concern that floated between their eyes. The dog patted Jim Saw on the shoulder. I'm sorry, kiddo. I don't want to lie to you and say everything's going to be alright. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for giving us this information, Oliver. I suppose I can say one last thing. With your father's desertion, the Inquisitors back in Corhalan are going through somewhat of a crisis. The prosecutor of the Watts is now actively pursuing this situation. He has also figured out that you've gained a Herschel, just like the other Wattsmen. You won't find bounty notices put up anywhere, but the Watts is on high alert to apprehend you and your father. Good luck. Remember to be extra careful. With that, he was gone, shutting the door behind him. If Umbo and the Watts are in town, things are going to get very messy. Must on us all. Alan, Jimsaw, and I continued to discuss the matter, yet there wasn't really anything to decide. The peacekeepers would arrive tomorrow, and Umbo would show up eventually. All hell's going to break loose. We could pretend that there was a plan to make and follow, to make the best of a bad situation to make ourselves feel better, but we all know we were swimming in dark waters. I'm going out for a bit. I'll come with you. Better not. Oliver said they have your bounty notices. Some may have seen them already, or they might be putting them up as we speak. I'm just going to get my sword sharpened at the toolsmith down the road. Be back very soon. I promise I won't go off somewhere to make splinters, okay? Alright. As I saw him disappear past the doorway, I felt a bit helpless. Though I wanted to join him, he was right. Mine and Alan's faces might be too hot right now, while Junso would only be sought after by his fellow Wattsmen who weren't yet a problem. As idleness set in, I realized there was one other thing I could do to better my station. Grabbing a small pillow, I nestled in one of the beds in the corner away from the light. With my eyes closed and following the mindful path, the dream would soon open itself to me. Alan had taken notice. I could hear him breathing and felt his doleful stare. What are you doing? Delving. Why? I want to practice my spells. It's hard to find a place to do it out there, so I may as well attempt it in dream, like you told me once. He held his tongue for a while. Yes, I recall feeling somewhat regretful for mentioning it your way. Weymouth, you know I think it's dangerous. It was hard to ignore the hurt in his voice. Alan, I have learned more. Alan, I have to learn more. Still clinging on to this. Why? The last time you conjured the affliction grew nearly twice as big. How many of these eruptions do you think it can take before it's going to kill you? It won't matter because it's not going to happen as long as I'm careful. You don't know that anything could trigger it. And it's not the only reason I'm going. I have to see him again. What do you mean? The shadow. He paused again, unsure what to say, stare at me like wayward kin. For the past few nights, the smoldering ghost in my mind had been making its presence felt. Every time I go to bed, I see its burning aspect flash before my eyes as if it were trying to get my attention. It's still with you. I nodded. He turned away, rubbing the back of his neck. Maybe I am crazy. Any madman will be convinced of his own haunting demons, and I am no different. Even as far as my own expertise, were I to judge the situation fairly, I cannot say my phantom escapes the realm of the imaginary. His presence is continuously vexing and nothing else. Other than perhaps one thing, he had allowed me to visit Jimsaw during his time of need. That was real. Whether he was responsible for it or not, I am eternally grateful for it. Is there any evidence of my dark pastor's existence? For all I know, it could be a feverish illusion conjured up by my affliction, yet I cannot overlook my own feelings on the matter. He seems real to me. There are too many coincidences to ignore. Either he is faking I'm mad, which means I'm doomed regardless, or my obscure companion is there for a reason. It's up to me to figure it out. The affliction brought him to me. Maybe he can play a part in its undoing. I would say these things to Alan, yet it would only serve to deepen his concern. Alan, I know it sounds strange to you, but you have to believe me. I never doubted you, lad. I've doubted the meaning behind it, and perhaps that was the wrong way to go about it. Dreams have seldom been kind to me, so I never pursued them, but I should have known better to not dismiss yours as I've done mine. I want to help you with this. How? We'll experience your dream together and get to the bottom of this. The realization suddenly hit me, making me shake my head. Of course, I had learned back in Vergarion that such a thing was possible. Indeed, showing my dream to another should convince him of my sanity. or at least it would prove there is something going on in my head. Marston must have seen a phantom as he crawled through my mind, yet wouldn't speak of it for some reason. Even I pressed the matter to which held her tongue. What game is he playing at? What possible reason would Marston have to keep me in the dark? At the very least, I should have asked her to explain what she saw to Alan, so we wouldn't have to go to all this dream-sharing hassle now. Mr. Wyman mentioned it once to me. It's called ether selling. Correct. The function allows pervaders to join their dreams. Those who have perfected it can even manifest their ethereal selves into the world while sleeping as if they were awake. Alas, I am woefully bad at it. Even if you yourself were a master, my own lack of experience would prevent me from perceiving anything you would be trying to show me. However, it is possible to do it if we have the right tools. A wand. Do we have one? No, I cannot make one without being proficient in the function itself. We will have to purchase one. Unfortunately, it's unlikely we will ever find one in a town like this. Where else north it should be common enough in Paresis? That's far away. However, we may be lucky to find someone willing to trade for one on the road or in some other town further away from the domain. We'll have to keep an eye out from now on. Should we travel somewhere else? If I hadn't been so short-sighted, I could have sought out one in Aeon's Road, or maybe Aldrich could have helped. Thank you, Alan. Don't thank me until I've accomplished something. I nodded. Although I did not want Alan to feel guilty about how he had treated my concerns, I was happy to accept his new commitment. Now, I closed my eyes once more, returning to the slumbering path, focusing on my breathing for a moment to reach a balance will allow me easy access to the sanctum of the mind. In the moments I was gone from the waking world and down to the depths, the purgatorial desert welcomed me again. Its vast emptiness and stillness had become oddly comforting in my eyes. The shadow was there as well, standing far enough away as not to impose its presence upon me. It's time we had another talk. Some time had passed since our last lengthy interaction. I had only caught glimpses of him in my recent nights. My familiarity with his mannerisms was enough to tell me something had changed. Whereas before he would hold himself poised upright, now there seemed to be a lively quality to his demeanor. It would only be communicated in the subtle ways he moved his arms, or how quickly he turned his head, and where and how long he would glance. Barely had changed, yet even those minutiae I found great excitement. I turned to face him. Hello again. He received my acknowledgement and accepted the invitation to get closer, stopping a few feet away. Thankfully, it seems like he knows to respect my boundaries. Last time he touched me, some foreign memory invaded my thoughts. I wonder if he intended that. We'll have to try that again sometime, but not today. Do you understand me? He paused for a moment, then shook his head in a strange gesture which I perceived to indicate frustration. So let me know. If he could speak, I'm sure he would have said something by now. Then again, the spoken word doesn't quite exist in this place. Thankfully, it seems like he knows to respect my boundaries. Last time he touched me, some foreign memory invaded my thoughts. I wonder if he intended that. We'll have to try that again sometime, but not today. Do you understand me? He paused for a moment, then shook his head in a strange gesture, which I perceived to indicate frustration. So that means no. If he could speak, I'm sure he would have said something by now. There again, the spoken word doesn't quite exist in this place. Talking only seems like talking because that's how I understand its manifestation in a dream. As Wallace, everything is just an idea. He understands that I'm communicating, but doesn't understand the context of the message because he cannot decipher the words and the way he gestured didn't seem like a straight yes or no. This means we lack a common language. As I stood and pondered, my dark companion continued his small, frustrated gestures. Despite everything his body did speak in that fashion. I had also manifested a sheet of paper and wrote onto it, though that also failed to elicit any concrete response from him. Then I tried drawing very simple. Some of these seemed to be recognizable to him. He reacted to images of trees and the sun and other such common things, though it also brought him frustration. On second thought, those images were too childish for what we were trying to achieve. You are not quite that immature, I reckon. However, he did seem very curious about a simple drawing of a star, staring at it longer than the other items. As a final attempt, I began drawing the 7 basic Pervader circles which Alan had shown me, each of its own bit of parchment. I also added a strange circle on my belly, which was unlike any of the others. After arranging them on the ground, I stepped back and allowed him to browse. The symbols caught his attention immediately. His movements so as he studied each piece of paper, staring longingly at them and between them. He would glance back at me every once in a while, as if to confirm to me that he understood their meaning. Lastly, he took one of the pieces of paper and showed it to me. It was a symbol of the hand. The what symbol? Marston? He took it back and stared at it again, pacing back and forth. Maybe this is your sigil. If it was, it didn't show on his body, though with those black and white flames covering every inch of him, I would never be able to tell. His movements became more agitated. He looked back and forth between me and the parchment and the surrounding world, aching for relief. Desperation took him. He gazed up to the sky as if he wanted to scream, yet he had no mouth. His stare begged me. I'm sorry, I don't understand. He wore himself out of his tantrum, kicking the sand, fidgeting uselessly while I witnessed. After a while, he managed to calm down, letting the piece of paper slip from his blazing grasp, turning away and looking into the distance. He stood there brimming with sorrow, like a lonely ghost reflecting in the dark. I waited a little while so that he may recollect his thoughts, though I knew I needed to learn one more thing from him. I picked up the one piece of paper that mattered to me the most and urged him to look at it again. My gloomy friend reluctantly accepted the parchment and inspected it once more. Yet he didn't seem to understand why I was showing it to him, meeting my gaze with the same frustrated gestures as before. I stepped away to ponder on my own. If I hadn't been certain before, I was now. The shadow was a person with real feelings. The only thing I knew about him was that he had a strong reaction towards the hand sigil, for better or worse. What's more, he didn't realize my own sigil, yet he had been ushered into my life together with it. How strange. I was almost certain he would have offered some insight into that symbol. Disappointment turned to doubt. Here I was, so confident that the answers lay with my phantom, so adamant I had been following this path and upsetting Alan all for naught. When I looked back, my shadow friend had disappeared from sight, yet I knew he had not gone anywhere. I could feel his presence permeating my pocket universe. He had decided to withdraw, and I would not pursue him. The experiment had caused him distress, though that was not my intention. Regardless of his true nature, he would need time to himself to mold, to mourn, to machinate. I would not rob him of that. Rest well, my friend. I shall see you again soon. With the end of my meditation, I put aside any wasted effort and committed myself to a new tomorrow. I woke only to fall back to sleep again in a more comfortable position. Come morning, the three of us gather again. We still don't know when Umber will show up. Perhaps they won't. Only the watch arrives. The peacekeepers should be here after midday at the earliest, I reckon. Why do you say that? My father taught me how the watch organizes its movements. The squad should depart from a safe location, likely in an outpost to the south, halfway from here to Ingram, just on the domain border. I checked the map. That route would take about half a day of travel. They always begin marching just before sunrise, so that means they should get here sometime after midday. Then we have a bit of leeway around town till they get here. Let's make use of it while we can. We all nodded in agreement. I think I'll have the easiest time blending in with the crowd, so I'll continue to scout things out in the market. Zimsar shook his head. I'll go to the market. You keep an eye out near the south entrance. Are you sure that's a good idea? You might stumble into the Watts. The peacekeepers are going to arrive through where Raymond is going to surveil. That's the only path which makes sense. He turned and spoke to me. Once you spot them, come and warn me so I can retreat. Heron's agent said they have our bounty notices already. They may have put them up by now. They said they won't have a bounty for the gem czar. It's safe for me to in the market right now. That's why I should go. Ellen sighed. Very well, that leaves me. Ellen, I think you should stay here. I agree. Ellen stands out more. He flashed an apprehensive smirk. Am I too fat to be in public? Is that it? Sorry, Ellen, you're a big guy. Oh, for heaven's sake. There are fewer bears than felines around town. Ramus and I are the only ones who can blend in effectively. Fine, I am not happy with the situation, but I cannot fault the strategy. Subterfuge has never been my forte anyway. Because you're a big guy. He threw me a brief glance almost as if he had read my teasing thoughts. Ramus, I'll be waiting around the alley next to the tavern. Find me there when it's time. I'll expect you to run straight back and warn Gemstar as soon as you spot those waspen. After that, I want both of you to return. I need to know you're safe, understood? Gemstar and I nodded in agreement. With that, we were ready and headed out together. Hey, yeah? Don't get caught. He was as straight-faced as I ever see him, though it is our duty to each other to see it through. The way he spoke and his serious tone made me think he cared more about my safety than before. I'll be careful as long as you do the same. Promise me you won't go off after Urbo. I promise I'll wait for you by the alley. A short stroll later had returned me to the inn where we last stayed at. It was a bright morning. Galley carriages were moving in and out the gate. Men were working in the fields and children played in the grass or attended their mothers as they hung up today's laundry. On the outskirts, only outgoing traders and travelers were seen setting out on their journeys. A pair of the local militia emerged from the tavern, yet they seemed more merry than martial. I tightened my hood just the same, though they weren't of the same awareness as the Watts. Being recognized might still be a risk. I looked around for a place where I could perch and avoid attracting attention to myself. It wasn't as easy as I initially thought. Maybe the riverbank outside would host me, as it happened when Ira joined us. Men and women often lounged near lakes and rivers whenever time required pleasant wasting. I turned and ambled towards the river. Halfway to the gate, I heard a familiar whistling sound thrown in my direction. He had spotted me before I even saw him. Have a stroll. I'm looking out for the Watts. Well, you found it. He held out his arms with a playful smirk. I mean, the peacekeepers, they haven't arrived yet, have they? No, I'm expecting them soon, however. He gestured towards the inn. Inside? I've arranged for them to call at the inn. They'll be staying there for at least a week, depending on how things go. Now, I just have to wait. You're free to join me, if you wouldn't mind the company. He started walking and begging me to follow. We stopped by the saddle side of the inn, where we could speak privately away from the prying ears on the street. The Watts wouldn't send these men just for Gemstar and me. He had mentioned a partnership yesterday. I hope the main reason for their presence was to deal with Umbro, although they would be obstructing our own quest. I dreaded to think there was some other plot astir. Do they know you're waiting for them? Yes, I am to brief them once they arrive, to tell them what I've learned, reason why I was sent ahead. Did you find anything else out about Umbro? Not much other than what I told you yesterday. At least nothing else that concerns you. Where's Jim? He's in the market looking out for Umbro. I'm supposed to go and warn him when the peacekeepers get here. I see. Don't let him go. Don't let him get into too much trouble. Zizzle had changed since we started this journey. Back then he was stiff and steadfast in his watchful duties. When he confronted Chillis and Velgarion, I thought we would suffer through another awful class like that night in Chariot, but he backed off. Since overcoming his disquietude, there's a mellowness in his approach that wasn't there before. Oliver was staring at me curiously, clued onto my thoughtfulness. How's the kid holding up? Good, the pain still troubles him, though he's gotten better at managing it. Despite everything, he's still pushing through and keeping a level head. Without him, I don't know where we would be. He nodded. Why do you call him a kid? He's a knight. He chuckled. Is he upset at it? No, I guess I might be upset at it more than him. It's not an insult. He's just young. Before he got knighted, his father sent him to train with him for a few months here and there. I taught him a thing or two myself, toughened him up a notch. Jim was one of us for a little bit, a proper grip, part of the family. He shook his head. He was a kid. I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. I had never asked Jim so about his friends and family. His cold demeanor had urged me away from getting too close, though, and then he warmed up to me and Alan. It was nice knowing Jim so had other people who cared about him, even if their concerns were now distant. What do you think will happen to his father? The marshal's a smart man. He knows how to avoid the Watts. If he goes north and stays north, I doubt we'll ever catch him. Maybe someone decides to ransom him to us. His only weakness is Gemstar. That's why you should also be running away from the domain. If Jim is caught, the prosecutor will use him as bait to draw out the marshal. How badly do they want Jim's father? Exceedingly and frightfully. The Grand Inquisitor is a very grim man. I wouldn't want him to ever learn my name. Nothing good may come of it. To me, the marshal and abandon your post at these times is just a way when such a man is at the helm. He shook his head. What would happen to Jim's father if he was caught? The marshal is a soldier. He has always served faithfully and put duty ahead of everything else, including himself. Releasing Jimstar would have stripped him of his title, but he would not face imprisonment. Perhaps he would be demoted to a petty role in Cor Haline to serve as an administration. Yet desertion throws everything into abject treason. The Inquisitors back at headquarters are trying to keep the situation hush-hush. Part of our doctrine is glorifying the Silver Watch to the people to project strength and faith in the Inquisition. The news would put a dent in that mission, so the Marshal and Jim are an eternal matter to be dealt with behind closed doors. There are only two options for him, and both of them are final. Sequestering to the clergy, where he may live the rest of his days in penitent internment. It is that or death. Their cruelty knows no bounds, all for the crime of loving one's own child. It was to curse Thunder and Oliver for wearing their armor, thus suppress emotion. At least we have him and Heron on our side. Then again, it was all done in the saddles. Out there, we're alone. But he is the marshal. Heron is in his corner, too. Is that not enough to avoid such condemnation? Unfortunately, the only friends that matter here are those who whisper in the Grand Inquisitor's ear. Eldon or Morrow is a soldier, through and through. No man could claim to be more valorous. That is why he was put in charge of the militia. That is also why he would never debase himself by currying favors with the bureaucrats in the court line. Heron has his honeying ways, as befits our tradecraft, but he does not command the Grand Inquisitor's attention. If only the marshals had stayed in chariot, Zimsor would not have to worry about his father's life. Instead, he has added to his son's worry. I wondered what I would have done if I was in his possession, and whether it was right to judge his actions. Releasing Zimsor and the rest of us might have been the correct decision. What comes after in this righteousness, only time will tell. Oliver and I spent the rest of the morning together in the shade of the inn, sharing idle stories about our journeys and lives back home. As we waited for the peacekeepers, his duty was to coordinate with them once they arrived, guiding them on their mission and maintaining communication with other agents in the south. Once that happened, we likely wouldn't be able to find him anymore, at least not out in the open. It was nice talking to him. Despite our opposite aspects, we both sought to do the right thing. Though I enjoyed his company, every moment was underpinned by unease. I could not rest for a minute, unless the peacekeepers show up and catch us off guard, and Oliver would also face treasonous charges. Eventually, they did arrive. Every once in a while, Oliver would pull out a small telescopic tube and glance through it over the distance beyond the gate, investigating the new arrivals. They're coming. How many? 20. Must I have to leave. Good luck out there, Weymouth. Don't let me catch you again. I'll paint the hood a different color just to fool your eyes. He chuckled. Keep Jim out of trouble, you hear? I nodded and hurried off back into town. Fruit stalls and hellmongers gathered people in the market as per usual. Everything from refined men and young ladies to errand boys and fishwives coursed through the square, attending to their needs and duties. Umbo hadn't made a scene yet, thankfully. Zimsor said he would wait by the dark alley next to the tavern. I found him at the corner, starting right back at me, his eyes urging me to approach. We made our way deeper into the shadows of the Strat, as much privacy as we could. They're here? Yes, Oliver is welcoming them. They'll be staying at the same inn we were in. Darn, that's no good. What do you mean? The innkeeper knows our faces. They'll know for sure we're in town. Maybe they'll think we left. Let's hope. Let's look. He turned me around. It was Chillis. He was passing through the market, moving without care, as if he had no reason to hide. A bunch of papers were jutting out of his carry bag, holding them in place with a hand. Did you see anyone else while you were here? He grunted in frustration. Maybe, I'm not sure, but there's no time to think. We can't lose him. We took the peacekeepers showing up, and now Chillis. There was now and that to worry. I had to think fast. We're here to find Umbro. Chillis will guide us there. I'll go after him. You need to tell Ellen what's happening. You? No, Weymouth, you can't. Chillis won't want to talk to you. I must do it. There's no time to argue, Jim. We took a second to think. He took a second to think it over, though it pained him to arrive at the conclusion. Fine, go, be careful. He turned right away, intending to run off and catch up with Chillis. But Zimsor grabbed my arm, stopping me for a moment. If you're not back in an hour, I'm coming after you. He let me go. I tightened my hood once more and went into the crowd, focusing my attention on the back of Chillis' head. All the chatter commotion in the market made me feel safe as I approached. I decided to stalk him for a while to see what he was up to. Besides, it would be best to approach him somewhere away from so many people. Chillis made his way up ahead through the alleys between the stalls, paying no mind to any of the produce or services offered. He's not here to trade or barter. At least he arrived in front of one of the notice boards near the end of the alley. I studied him from afar. He pulled out one of the papers from his bag and set it against the board. Then he took a small nail from a side pocket, pushed it into the paper with just his finger, and hung it in place. A bystander took interest in the new addition to the board as Chillis moved away and continued down the path. Once he was far enough removed, I approached. The notice went as follows: to the people attending the hall and all those who desire a brighter future. For the first time in the history of the world, the power of magic is no longer the prospect of chance or fate. On the 3rd of Gildanan, at midday, you are invited to attend the public conferral ceremony to be held within the market square. All those who wish to acquire the secrets of magic, we freely bestow this gift upon you. All those who are curious, we invite you to attend and observe our proof. Signed, Gimmelborg of Umbro. That's tomorrow. I didn't have time to think about it. Chillers kept moving, and I gave chase. As we walked down the path, the crowd thinned. The bustle and clatter from before grew distant. I could hear my own footsteps again. He stopped in front of another board, the workhouse. Few people were there to witness. A couple of strangers sat at a table on the other side of the street, chatting and filling their cups with ale. A woman in a stained apron rolled a barrel behind one of the buildings. This is as much privacy as I will be able to find out here. Unsure of the best course of action, I trusted my instinct and approached him. Besides, we would likely meet tomorrow either way. Chillis, he turned startled and wide-eyed. You. He scanned the area suspiciously, eyeing the same bystanders as I had. Chillis was primed and ready. His fingers were tense, itching to wield a spell. Hey, calm down. I'm not here to cause trouble. He shook his head, defiant of my appeal. I'm sorry I startled you. What are you doing here? His voice was severe, though low enough not to arouse attention from others nearby. To join Umbro, we don't have anywhere else to go. Who is we? Me, Alan, and Jimsor. Is that really why you're here? There was venom in his voice. His continued mistrust confused me. Gimmelborg had been open to us joining them back when we met after crossing the Gien. My little ambush cannot have aggravated him so much. Maybe he knows Zimstar killed their agent. Then everything is ruined anyway. Why else? You know we're cursed. Do not lie to me. We saw you in Aliens Road. What do you mean? Alan told you we were going there a week before the event. If you're upset about the dagger, then you'll be happy to learn that it wasn't authentic anyway. You didn't lose anything. Lies, this little scheme won't work. Sis, I don't understand. Why do you think I'm lying? You were approached by a man named Aldrich in the Henna House. We know Alan went off somewhere with him. Do you deny it? No, why would I? He tilted his head upwards, eyeing me carefully. Do you not know who Aldrich is? I know he's a seeker. He offered to bid on the dagger for us. We were in need of help, and he provided it. Aldrich is a North Enclave enforcer. I don't know what that means. Chiller sighed and shook his head. The tips across his shoulders and fingers had subdued and his face grew weary. I see. Maybe you really don't. But I still don't know if I should trust you. I was at a loss for words. This kind of resistance is the last thing I wanted to have to deal with today. Aldrich had been a friend who offered us shelter and aid. What could he have done to earn such suspicion? You say he bought the dagger for you? Yes. Do you believe he did it out of the kindness of his heart? He scoffed. Tell me why you mistrust him. There was passionate fury behind Chillis' eyes, the same kind Umbo bore for the Inquisition. You heard of the North Enclave Syndicate, at least. I know they're the largest merchant fleet in Pelennine. I even saw one of their ships in Chariot. Largest in which is achieved off the back of the enchantment trades decades ago. Ever since the Inquisition's embargo, they've been fighting tooth and nail to sabotage Umbro. Why? Because we control the remaining black markets in the south. They want to wipe us out to get rid of the competition. That, or they think the Inquisition is going to back off the embargo if Umbro is gone. Other fools. They tried to assassinate Gimmelborg at least 3 times over the years. We lost men because of their tricks playing the watch against us. Chillers, I didn't know about any of that. Maybe I believe you. You've been fair so far. Even if Aldrich had some hidden intentions, Ellen would never participate in these kinds of schemes willingly, especially if you're in the middle of it. Neither will I, nor Jimsaw. The only reason any of us are here is because of what happened in Syria. You know this. A sweat of remorse brewed within him, though his heart remained stalwart. Please, we don't have any other option anymore. You are the only ones who can help us now. Then what made you change your mind? We heard about a man named Quatrin. He was a seeker who supposedly joined up with Umbro about 10 years ago. The Ganti daggers were his main subject of interest. As far as we know, he used to be the most informed researcher on the matter of curse. Is he still with Umbro? He shook his head in frustration, glancing left and right, unsure of what to say. I cannot talk to you about this. Not here and not now. If you really want to learn more, we can talk tomorrow. I'll tell Gimmelberg you're in town and ask him to speak with you again. He will be more apprehensive than me, considering your relationship with Aldrich. You want to know what happened. You want to know what we learned. The curse isn't what you think it is. I'll try to vouch for you. Find me in the market tomorrow. You might want to reconsider that. The watch has arrived in Tenderhall. Truly, when? A group of 20 peacekeepers was sent to monitor the town. They've already just arrived and are aware that you're planning something. If you're putting up posters everywhere, then you can be sure they'll also be in the crowd tomorrow. Chillers brought his hand to his chin, biting inside the side of his finger while pondering. How do you know this? We were warned by one of Jim Swartz's friends in the watch. Ha! You guys are really something, aren't you? Ingratiating yourselves in North Enclave, the Watts are now to us. Trifle alliances don't inspire a lot of faith. In the future, try to pick a side, stick with it. You'll survive longer. You're not on anyone's side, Chillers. The only thing that matters is getting rid of the curse. Whatever you plan on doing with the daggers is your business. We will help Umbro only in so far as we can contribute to the cure. You have hardly anything to contribute. Fine, you may reject me and Jimsaw, but Alan can still help. He has the sort of skills you're looking for. He gave a resounding sigh. Mercy, we'll have to see. Catch you tomorrow, if you're lucky. Umbro is still going to show? I'm not the one who makes the final call. If I were you, I'd pray for it. He turned and started walking away, though he glanced back one more time. Don't try to follow me again. I scurried back through the alleys behind the market, trying to avoid unwanted attention, and managed to get back to the house. Jimsaw met me at the door, relieved to see me return. I was almost ready to go out looking for you. The three of us gathered at the table. I described to them my conversation with Chillers and with Oliver previously. Alan sank in deep thought for a while. He inquired to Jimsaw, do you think the Watts is going to make a move tomorrow? They'll try to do something, but I cannot say for certain what. I'm asking whether they would lift their blades against Gimmelborg in the market. If Umbro outnumber them or the crowd is too wild, they won't risk that kind of scuffle. Best case scenario, they just watch from the Rotters. But Raymond's warned them. Gimmelborg won't put himself in danger if he thinks it's a threat. Guys show up tomorrow. You better believe he isn't afraid of the peacekeepers. Is there any risk of a fight breaking out if we do participate? Bad moves can always escalate into frenzy. As long as we're careful and avoid being in the midst of it, there shouldn't be an issue. Other than getting recognized by the Watts. True, though, they will be far more concerned with whatever the Umbro is cooking up, rather than searching for fugitives. The three of us exchanged uneasy glances. Tomorrow presents a greater challenge than anything else we've faced so far, and we all felt the pressure. None of us were ready to commit to any specific plan. It will all depend how things pan out once the ceremony is on the way. Chiller said they'll be expecting us. This might be our last shot to learn something useful. We won't squander it. Are we sure they won't try to kill us again? Chiller seemed to think Aldrich had bad intentions back in Ayan's Road. We might be considered enemies now. Alan, what do you think? The bear shook his head. Aldrich's affiliation is not a surprise. Nolan Clays is the Seeker's biggest sponsor, and they share many figureheads. Umbo has been known to steal from North Enclave caravans and shipments. Of course, there would be enemies. If there was treachery, Gilbert feels we played no part in it. I trust Chillis will speak well of our character, especially since he and his friends brought the curse upon you. Are you sure? He seemed pretty mad at you last time. Chillis is not evil, nor is he cruel. At his worst, he is misguided. I am to blame for his wayward aspirations, but I also have faith that he can turn things around in our favor. Gilmore might not trust us, but he won't believe we're conspiring against him. A simple plan here runs. All three of us will be present in the market to witness the event, though we would have to split up. We couldn't risk our three-man party being spotted by the watch. The ceremony itself was also a matter of concern. Chillis' message on the notice board held an ill omen. I am troubled about what Umbo intends tomorrow. It sounds as if they wish to use the daggers to spread the sigil and the curse with it. Can't sound surprised. If that is their plan, they must have some way of dealing with the curse. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to inflict the wound on Selman just to doom them. That would only serve the boast of Inquisition. Everyone would turn on them, even their converts among the tributariat. It's possible that all this is just a way of levying recruits. Maybe they are finally ready to go to war and need to meet seals. If they turn enough men to Pervaders, then rather than Inquisition to overstep its authority, everyone will be forced to pick a side. Gilberborg says much is a smart move. Regardless of Gilberborg's intentions, I knew there was more we could learn from them, though we could once more dance with death. The curse had brought us in its clutches long before the day. We spent the rest of the day preparing for the event. There were stacks of leather and fur in a closet left behind by the previous tenants. Alan used his saving magic to manufacture new hoods for each of us so that we may hide ourselves from sentries. They know about your cloak, I think. Then I will wear it no longer. Over the past few days, Zimsor had double-checked the dossier Heron had given us back in Miram. A map of the town allowed us to plan our movements. After much hassle and overthinking, all of us grew wary of preparation. The truth is, we don't really know how they'll go about it tomorrow. They could bully everyone to submission and start a riot, or they might be just a speaker at the podium. Maybe they'll assassinate the peacekeepers. All right, I've had enough of this doomsaying, and I'm calling it a day. Don't stay up much longer. Good night, Alan. What's for old bear? He made his way into the adjacent room. Silence gathered in his wake. Zim stood across from me, wearing a light smirk as he caught me looking at him. I had half a mind to scold him. You should try being less grim sometimes. Reality is harsh. He should expect the worst. A little bit of optimism helps. He stared at me and nodded in a strangely mysterious way. I'm sorry, I know you're right. Sometimes when Alan's around, for some reason, I feel the need to expect the worst. Well, don't let him hear you say that. It's not a condemnation of him. My conclusion is that this is my fault, and I'm trying to get better. His eyes had grown wider as the conversation went on, only marred by an occasional spasm. I didn't understand his excitement. Are you okay? I'm anxious about tomorrow. I see. That's not all. I want to tell you something. Go ahead. He glanced away for a moment as he considered putting thoughts into words. Do you remember that night when I was knocked out and disquieting when we saw each other in a dream? I nodded. I've been thinking a lot about it. It was like being awake and asleep at the same time, floating in a black sea as dark and decrepit as the most ancient crypt. I did not want to remember the pain again. Marston helped with that memory, but that was the worst part. Raymond's loneliness was terrifying. It was as if I was the last living thing in the world, experiencing the final throes of a dying world. If all hell exists, then it cannot be far off from that. I, he held his hands forward in a strange gesture, he was, as if he was trying to put a stop to his ordeal. You are a light in that utter darkness. It's like you were meant to be there, as if an angel had delivered you to me to give me hope. He shook his head in frustration. I know I can never put it into words to tell you exactly what it felt like. That nightmare had sent me into the pits of despair, which made it all the more sweet to finally have something good happen. I'm sorry for what you had to go through. I'm not. It taught me something. This is what I really wanted to tell you. I never want to feel that lonely ever again. My feelings have changed. I realize now what you were saying, and you were right. The boss isn't the most important thing in the world. My father matters more to me than anyone else. It is not worth my life to throw it away for someone else, other than those who matter to me. I wanted to admit this to you as well. I may have felt it before, but I must say it now. You become very important to me. I will fight to lift this curse from my body, so that my father would never suffer news of my death. And I will fight to abolish you and yours, because I would weep at your passing. Jim, I'm also telling you this, because I hope it will make you more careful tomorrow to avoid making stupid decisions as I have in the past. I know there are hurtful decisions you can make from which you can never turn back. Don't try to be a hero like I had. I don't want that to happen to you. His eyes lowered to the floor as he ended his speech. It never crossed my mind that he was capable of such heartfelt words. I promise I'll never do anything to cause you pain. Thank you. Though our bond has strengthened, weariness has taken its toll. Both of us gradually make our way to our beds seeking rest. Jimsaw's avowal had warned me in ways that made me reconsider my feelings towards him, though it also brought me renewed apprehension. As for tomorrow, as if tomorrow wasn't dreadful enough, now I knew failure would be even more catastrophic. It would break Jimsaw's heart. Sleep allowed me enough time to sift through my emotions. Tomorrow, I will wake up and taste of this renewed vigor that Jimsaw had ushered into my life. I think I'll stop right here. Okay, so we're at the end of the VN so far. Turns out there are some differences between both Jimsaw and Alan. Was to go to the very end of the game, which we are right now. So we've been playing through Jimsaw's route, so I'll make a video in which we play all the stuff again from the point where we all meet up again, but instead of, we'll turn to the point where everybody meets up again after separating for a while. Like that point where after Jimsaw and maybe say goodbye to Evelyn, and they use that crystal thing, I guess, to teleport Alan back. So we're gonna continue from that point and play on until the end of the game. The end of what's left of the game. This time we're gonna do it through Alan. We've been doing this through Jimsaw, but now we're going to go back and do it through Alan and see if there are any differences. And I'm not going to play everything. I'm just going to skip through some common stuff and just go through all the different dialogues for Alan. So we reached the end of the game so far, and about the relationship between Jigsaw and Ramus. Their relationship has grown a whole lot. I mean, it started off as the two of them being very cold. Well, Jigsaw especially being very cold towards Ramus and treating him like an enemy. He keeps calling him Pervader, and over time his view of Ramus improves, and now he cares very much about Ramus, and he's even willing to sacrifice his life for him. And I think that incident between with Jigsaw and that Umbro agent kind of changed his outlook on stuff. He used to be very loyal to the Inquisition, and he would do anything for it, and that he would risk his life to save any person, like any random person. But now he decided that he's going to risk his life only for those he cares about. He's not going to risk his life in unnecessary situations or just risk his life for random people. He's only going to risk his life for those he cares about, and he no longer considers the Inquisition to be the number one thing to him. He used to, but he no longer does. He considers Ramus and his father to be the most important things to him. So we see a lot of character growth with Jigsaw, and his ideas on things have changed. I think he's more accepting. He's more accepting now than he was before, like of the possibilities that maybe things might not work out. You know, he's very confident in the beginning, but I think he's more realistic now. So about Umbro, wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. There's a very good chance there will be a clash between Umbro and the Inquisition, the Silver Watch. There could be a full-on conflict. Umbro could change all the people into Pervaders and use them as fighters. I mean, it's very obvious that they have to me at least, it's obvious that they have the power, the daggers that can help Ramus, that can help Ramus and Jigsaw with their affliction, with their pain, but they won't help them because Umbro won't help them because they wouldn't join them. They wouldn't join Umbro. So but anyway, Umbro is the main hope they have now. They need help from Umbro. And here comes this ambulance siren here. So hopefully things will be peaceful, or at least there won't be any bloodshed tomorrow. It may well happen. So about Evelyn, he was well overflowing to me, but anyway, he wanted to help Ramus because he knew that the Inquisition was looking for him. So I think he could have just told Ramus from the get-go about what was happening, but maybe the reason why he didn't because he assumed that Jimsaw was a Watchman who was trying to take him down south so he had the bounty for himself. So rather than killing Ramus in Jimsaw's presence, he decided to tell Ramus in private because he thought that Jimsaw was fooling Ramus. Instead of helping him, he was actually taking him further south to the Inquisition so he could take the bounty from himself. I believe that was what everyone thought was happening. So one day we'll see him again eventually. I have no idea, but he's going far away, so I don't know. He's like a good character. Hey, so it's everything available for Jimsaw, and next time we'll play all the parts over again. Everything we've been, the portion where we reached Tenderhall and where we met that witch and all that up until now. But instead of doing it through Jimsaw, we'll be doing it through Alan this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and play what should I say? You hear a lot of trucks and cars. I live right near a highway. It was basically like an interstate, so that's why. Hello. Alright, a little bit of housekeeping. I made a silly mistake last update by introducing the Wizard's Hideout with a new background scene instead of using the original. This has been corrected. If you've been on Patreon lately, you probably noticed I'm doing pinouts again. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get to them in February. I got burned out in January more than I thought I would, so art has been tough. That's also why there isn't any new art in this update other than a slight variation from my background. I'm hoping to get better this month though. Thanks for reading. If you're enjoying Pervader and want it to become more popular, consider rating it 5 stars on itch.io at the top right. Thanks so much. Do you need to get in contact with me or send me suggestions? You can find me at eaglesettle@gmail.com or anywhere else where you spot my name. We have our own super secret club or Discord server. Check out here. See you next update. Okay, so that's everything for Alan so far. Jimsaw. That's everything for Jimsaw so far. So that was the creator, Gigacello. He mentioned February. That was last year. 2023. So there hasn't been an update since March of last year. I hope it won't be too long. Hopefully sometime this year there'll be a new update. A Pervader. Okay, so we're gonna do Alan's part next, and then afterwards I'll be it for Pervader for a while until a new update comes out. So thank y'all very much for watching. Goodbye.